I remember when the first teaser trailer for Star Wars Episode 7 came out. The very first clips of Jakku, Rey, the new Stormtrooper designs, and BB-8 were released, and the storm of excitement it created was unparalleled. There was an infinite number of reaction and theory videos, tons of discussion content, and even some mainstream coverage of the new Star Wars movie. The amount of energy in the Star Wars fandom was incredible. Remember all of the outrage and controversy over Kylo Ren's lightsaber design? Remember how that was the worst thing the fandom had to argue about? Man, those were good times. Needless to say, that energy didn't last very long. The hype for the movie lasted for several months afterwards, but soon after the voices of the skeptics became louder, until before the release of The Last Jedi, the fandom was very nearly split as to whether the sequel trilogy was a faithful continuation or a soulless cash grab. And well, The Last Jedi didn't do much to mend that rift. Anyway, a couple more bad movies later, and here we are. The first trailer for Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker, has been released, and it sparked my interest in talking about Star Wars again. That's not to say I don't talk about it much at all. In fact, I do frequently with friends all the time. It's that I don't have any reason to put my thoughts on the channel. It's kinda just that whatever can be said about the sequel trilogy has already been said a million times in ways that don't need to be improved on. But now with this new trailer, I feel somewhat motivated to give my take. I suppose I just want to get my feelings out before the movie is released, so I can later compare how I felt about the trilogy before it ended versus after it's all said and done. I covered the journey the fandom has taken up until now, so it's going to be interesting to see where it goes after Episode 9. Anyway, for real this time, the trailer itself is very good. In typical J.J. Abrams fashion, this movie is being marketed as something incredibly grand, while remaining completely devoid of any clear spoilers as to what the plot might be, aside from a few subtle hints here and there. But the most impressive part about it, for me anyway, is it seems to have managed to rekindle a bit of that excitement from the Star Wars fanbase for this franchise, which up until recently has been extremely displeased with any and all Disney Star Wars content we've already received and skeptical of any future projects. The trailer just has that energy we've all missed so much, and the hope that the movie might have that same energy is honestly pretty hard to ward off. But still, all reason tells me there's no possible way this movie can be good. There's just too much going against it, and I'll explain. My first concern, and the reason I'm personally skeptical of this movie, is because I can't see how it can be a half-decent conclusion for this trilogy. Not just for the trilogy, but for the entire Skywalker saga, from the prequels to now. And the reason is because there has been no build-up for a finale whatsoever. Basically, Episode 8 exhausted all of the plot points that movie and Episode 7 established. The new threat found in Supreme Leader Snoke was dealt with, the mystery of Rey's parents was revealed, Luke Skywalker was found and his arc was completed, Rey became a Jedi, Finn defeated that one girl, and so on and on. Do you get what I'm saying? It's not that at the end of The Last Jedi I don't feel like the story doesn't have anywhere to go. That's not what I'm saying at all. It definitely needs an ending, but all of the important plot threads have already been resolved, which means Episode 9 has to create its own new plot threads and complete them in its own movie, which I imagine is going to make it feel really disjointed as a finale, as it can't tie into the previous movies in any significant way. What I'm saying is, this movie, instead of relying on the foundation built by the previous two films, has to start from scratch, build a new setup for a finale, then follow through on that setup, and then wrap up all of the character arcs, all within a 2-hour runtime or so. How is that supposed to be possible? To clarify, it wouldn't be that bad if we were talking about a standalone film. Movies literally do what I described all the time. No big deal. But this isn't a standalone film. It's supposed to be a grand climax to a trilogy of Star Wars movies. Not just that, but all 3 sagas. It's just an impossible task. Honestly, I'm not even saying it can't be a good movie. It could very well be a great story or whatever, it just can't be a good ending. And that brings me to the next issue this movie needs to deal with. By bringing the Emperor back, they've essentially negated any of the remaining importance of Episode 6. Like, the ending of the original trilogy is so meaningless at this point. And it has been that way for a while, with the New Order taking over the universe and all of our favorite characters like Han Solo and Luke Skywalker regressing back into their character arcs and dying. But now it's like, not only did the heroes of the original trilogy fail to bring order to the galaxy and stop the enemy, but Darth Sidious, the Emperor himself, is still around and causing evil. When you think about it, the original trilogy accomplished literally nothing. It's kind of sad to think about. Which is why when I watched the original Star Wars movies, I don't think about the sequels at all. Because doing so ruins the timelessness of those movies. Man, all of this could have been avoided if they just kept with a single director's vision. If J.J. Abrams just stuck with all 3 films, we could have had a cohesive narrative from start to finish. But no, Rian Johnson had to step in and erase everything J.J. Abrams set up. So now we're left in this situation, where Abrams has to try and amend the inconsistencies between the films and get the story back on track. I don't feel very good about this at all. Anyway, the trailer itself is pretty. Every shot with the Star Destroyers is absolutely beautiful, and the remix of the main theme is pretty awesome. But come on, why are the rebels riding on space horses on the back of a Star Destroyer? Like, what are they gonna do? Where are they going? How are they gonna get inside? Why are they riding horses? Aren't there like speeders for that?